Hello, I'm Rob, and this is Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. I'm going to be playing a cooperative session with my good buddy Josh. We're going to play through the game together. He's played it a couple times, so he'll mostly be leading me through it. We've actually already started and we gotten pretty far, but I didn't start recording until later on, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick recording. I'm not sure how long it'll be, just to kind of get it caught up to where I started recording the cooperative session. So I'm just gonna be basically going through the beginning of the game just to do, because I don't know, I just want to do like the complete playthrough just to make sure that I have, the beginning of the game in the Let's Play as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and start a new game. Probably just gonna pick through some stuff. I'll let the cinematic play. We'll pick up after that.
Perhaps you've seen it. Maybe in a dream. A murky, forgotten land. A place where souls may mend your ailing mind. You will lose everything. Once branded. The symbol of the curse. An augur of darkness. Your past, your future, your very light. None will have meaning, and you won't even care. By then, you'll be something other than human. A thing that feeds on souls, a hollow. Long ago, in a walled-off land far to the north, a great king built a great kingdom. I believe they called it Drangleic. Perhaps you're familiar. No, how could you be? But one day, you will stand before its decrepit gate without really knowing why. Like a moth drawn to a flame, your wings will burn in anguish. Time after time. For that is your fate. The fate of the cursed.
Alright. If you don't know anything about Dark Souls, some things I'll point out, like you just saw that wraith there. It's really interesting in the design because you're always kind of like playing with other people. Even though you're like right now I'm playing single player, other people are kind of around, and you'll see like ghosts and wraiths walking around. It's kind of to give like an atmosphere to the game of there's other people also playing the game with you, and you just randomly will see them doing things. You'll also notice some cases where there'll be text on the ground and blood stains, and I'll explain those when we get to them. But the atmosphere of the game, I think, is why these games are so popular. Because, to be honest, I have no idea what we're doing or why we're doing it. We're just kind of here and we're adventuring through this old, ancient place for some reason. I have another cutscene coming up.
What seems to be the ruckus?
Oh my, your face. The face of the curse. It's an undead. An undead has come to play. They all end up here. All the ones like you. You spoke to that kind old dear, didn't you?
You're finished. You'll go hollow. Yes, you'll become one of them.
Hollows prey upon men, feast upon their souls. This is the fate of the cursed.
What is your name? At least you know your own name. Here's your reward for sharing. It's a human effigy.
Take a closer look. Who do you think it's supposed to be?
Think back, deep into your past. Yes, it's an effigy of you.
Okay, so here's the character creation. I don't care about character creation pretty much at all. I never really have. These are all the different classes. They don't really... doesn't really matter. You notice the stats will change at the bottom based on the class you pick and your starting items, but other than that, it doesn't really matter. In my main game, I played a sorcerer through most of the game, which you'll see. But then I swapped it to basically just a two-handed sword guy, like Josh plays. I'll probably just go with the knight. I'll probably end up... yeah, the knight should be fine. That's a pretty good starter. They have decent stats, pretty easy to play. Gifts, you can pick something to start with. A lot of these are items you get like actually in the game as well. So that it's not really super important. Like the human effigy lets you turn back into a human. I'll explain that stuff as we go on. I don't know what this does. I kind of know what this does, but I've never used it. I don't know what Petrified Something does, but I actually have gotten a couple of those in the game, so I know there are items in the game. More Bone just returns you to the bonfire. I mean, it's useful. So we'll just do that.
All people come here for the same reason. To break the curse.
You're no different, I should think. Doesn't stand a chance. Well, you never know.
Oh, man.
Through the door and trot along to the kingdom.
But remember, hold on to your souls. They're all that keep you from going hollow. Oh, I'll fool you no longer. You lose your souls. All of them. Over and over again.
Yes. Beginning is very annoying after you've already seen it a few times. All right. So you can see right there, there's another, that's actually another player. He's playing the game right now. So you'll see them kind of pop in and out as you run through the game. So the thing they keep talking about, the Hollow Human, right now we're human. You can tell we look like a human. If you die in this game, you drop all your souls. You see at the bottom right is basically the amount of souls that you have. You drop them all and you have to go back and get them. If you die again before you get them, they basically lose them forever. That's kind of how this game has a quote-unquote harsh death penalty, because you do have the potential for permanent loss, but honestly it's really not that bad. You can mitigate it pretty easily and you can get souls back pretty easily. This is a bonfire. Basically you light it and it serves as like sort of a save point, a place, a destination you can fast travel to get around the game. That was a life gem. I did not mean to use it. Always takes me a little while to get used to controls again. Souls on the undead and a torch. We can two-hand a weapon or we can one-hand a weapon. Souls of the undead, so you noticed I looted that as an item. I can use it later and it'll give me souls, but I don't really need to. This is a tutorial area. I guess we can run through some stuff just really quick. We'll run through one of these. You don't really learn anything or do anything important. Some of these things will give you some tips about how to play the game, but I'm pretty familiar with that. So there's our first bad guy. Attack him, he dies. Easy peasy. This game, the combat, a lot of people say the combat is super good. I mean, I guess it's okay. See, that's another player who just ran by. I don't think it's like anything super special. I mean, it's really just a lot of animation management and endurance management. See, I've actually never figured out how to get down there. I'll have to try to figure that out one day. This game is like, it's like a big open theme park, and there's a lot of puzzles and things you can find. You'd have like special attacks. You can do like a special, like that special animation to do like a backstab or a crit hit. You can do it when you parry attacks as well. Parrying is pretty difficult unless you get used to it. Usually I just rely on just kind of face rolling things. You'll see me do a lot of rolling and dodging. That's a lot of the game. And the combat is just not getting to get hit by things. There's a lot of dodging related. Some people, I've never tried it myself. I mean, I do use shields. I tried using shields. They seem decent, but there's a lot of enemies where you can't rely on the shield. See, it's kind of cool. Just like you see other players just like walking around, and it kind of makes the game feel kind of like lifelike, in that there's other things going on. As you can see, I mean, the game is, a lot of the enemies in the game are really not that challenging. It's just kind of you walk through it. I mean, when you get, it's kind of a confidence thing, because the game really does a good job with the atmosphere of like getting in your head and making you afraid, which causes you to kind of make mistakes. But if you kind of get used to the game, it gets a lot easier, and it also helps kind of knowing where things are and knowing how to do stuff. So it's just kind of a little area. There's another one over there you walk through the mist and can go through, but we don't really need to do all that, so we're just going to push forward right now. There's also like a bunch of like secrets and puzzles in the game. Like you need a specific item to unlock this dude because he's blocking you from getting through. We don't have it, but if we ever got it, we would come back and maybe look at that. The item's really rare though, so there's a lot of times like you get items in the game, you don't know what they do, or you know what they do, but they're rare and you want to save them because you know you need them in another specific location. So here's what I was talking about, where we have signs in the ground. we have like messages. So players actually leave these messages for other players, right? Yes, that's what happens. So, oh look, can you see a bunch of people here? Wow, they all died. So when you click on a blood stain, or pool of blood, you can see how other players who are playing the game died, sort of. I mean, you can't see what actually killed them, but you can tell that they died here, so you know that there's a good chance that there is something going on here. It looked like he killed himself? I honestly have no idea. So it says there's an illusion here, but I don't see one. Usually you find them by just pressing A on the wall, and it'll activate the illusion. The game has pretty good graphics, which are really cool. I forgot if I was talking about something before. There's a lot going on and a lot to explain. But I really enjoy the graphics of the game. It's a very pretty game. The design, the very medieval, you know, kind of low fantasy is pretty appealing to me. And just everywhere in the game, there's secrets everywhere, and you just never know about them. People will leave like signs like this, but they can. You'll notice that they're worded kind of strangely. Safe zone, by the way, good luck. You have a limited number of words. I guess I can actually show you. I've never actually put one down where you can look. So you can't just type what you want to say, but you can say things like be wary of something. So you have limited things that you can select. So you can't just like type whatever you want. So people will leave you messages as best that they can, with, you know, only the certain amount of words that they are allowed to use. See, like here's an example of a message: "Be wary of treasure, therefore below." So they can kind of interpret that as, oh, there's a treasure down here somewhere. And sometimes people are assholes. They'll lie to you. Here's a pool of blood. Oh, let's touch a pool of blood. No. Oops. I fell. Okay, anyway, here's a pool of blood. So I'm guessing somebody fell off the cliff here. Is more than likely what happened. So yep. Somebody accidentally fell off. So that's an actual player. That actually happened to a player, like that we just saw. That he actually fell off and died. So we got a morning star and a chime. That's more cleric stuff. Binoculars, we'll never use those. See, probably people fell off here running and just not paying attention or rolled. Yep. Okay. So anytime we know there's a this is kind of like the central hub of this game. So anytime we need to come back and do stuff, we'll come here. So we'll light this bonfire, and now you'll see that we can travel between areas. So I can travel back to the other bonfire we found. I won't be using spells, but this is where you'll equip spells. You can't just, when you find spells, you can't just add them to like a slot. You actually have to equip them at a bonfire.
Are you?
So we'll talk to her.
Bearer of the... I will remain by her. Take this with you. Go on and see he who made Drangleic what it once was. King Ven.
So there's some NPCs in this game, but this is not really a game that most people play for like the story. I mean, you kind of know there's some story in the background, but all you're really concerned about is just kind of exploring it. It's like a big adult theme park, basically. And it can be challenging, but the challenge is kind of... It's strange, because if you know what to do and you know the game is really not that hard. It's all about knowledge and knowing what's around the corner and how to fight bosses and stuff like that. If you... woman there for chest, yes. Obviously a pervert. So you look at her chest, I guess. So, but you'll see a lot of times, this is what people do. They just spam through the chat just to get it over with. Because you have to spam through the chat to get to things. So, leveling up in this game is, you see, it costs 948 souls. We have 460. Currently, our level is basically level 13. So, if you want to increase the stats, so you just basically spend the souls to increase the stat. Every time you increase the stat and increase your level, if you notice that as I increase the stat, you'll see different things highlighted. That's what the different stats affect. So, for example, strength is one of our go-tos, and it increases my attack damage, because I'm basically going to be a strength weapon user, my physical defense, and my HP. So strength is a pretty damn good stat for me. Vitality is pretty important. Increases my equipment load, my physical defense, poison resist, Endurance is important. It'll give me HP, it'll give me stamina so I can do more attacks, and it'll increase my poise. Poise is important because it prevents me from being staggered when I get hit by enemies. So if I have a case where I just want to trade damage, trade blows with enemies, if I don't get staggered, then I can keep trading. Otherwise, if I do get staggered, they can get another hit on me. Actually forgot what that's. Vigor. I think that's Vigor is what that is. So that increases my HP and just my Petrify resistance. So that's not hugely important for me because we don't have a lot of Petrify. So kind of the game works. You have weapons that... Like this weapon, oops, but you can see at the bottom, you see the first stat is Strength, the second stat is Dex. I don't know what the third one is, and I don't know what the fourth one is, but I think it's like Faith or Intelligence. I think Faith is the last one, and Intelligence is the third one. So you notice that those are the number is the requirement, so I need to have 11 Strength and 6 Dex minimum to use this weapon to its full efficiency. I can still equip it like this, even if it's not good, but I won't get like the full damage out of it, I think is how that works. Yeah, so my damage is not great with that. So, but if I do the sword, you can see my damage is 120 plus 37. This is 110 minus 31 because I don't meet the strength requirement. So I don't want to use that weapon. If I did want to use that weapon, I would increase my strength. So yeah, armor, you can see it just kind of adds to your base resistance. I think that's what that means. I don't know what the blue numbers are. I just know that the bigger they are, the more resistance you have to the things listed. There's a lot of different status ailments in this game. Is there anything else that I need to cover? I'll kind of keep moving through the game. So I know where to go, basically. I know what to do, and I know how to do it. I know... So this game is difficult when you're playing by yourself. A lot harder when you're playing by yourself. But there are times when you can summon other players into your game to actually help you fight in certain areas, and it's limited. Like, you can't just play together forever. Usually it ends when you defeat a boss together, and when the boss is defeated, then that person is kind of removed from your game. You can summon someone again at a later date. I might see if we can do some summons, but you'll see plenty of that later when me and Josh play, so it's not really necessary. But a lot of this game is exploration, and when you don't know where you're going, that's what makes it difficult, because you have to learn. First of all, you have to figure out where to go. Second of all, you have to understand the creatures that you're fighting and the hazards that are presented in each area, and how to handle them. And that can be difficult because you have to learn how the creatures fight. Then you have to learn in the different places ambushes are set up, where creatures, basically you get past a certain point and a bunch of creatures just come and attack you out of the blue, it seems, a lot of times. And the devs are good at putting creatures in like jackass places. Like, you see how we just walked out here? An example is like the devs would put a creature like right up here on the cave, and as soon as I walked out, it would drop down behind me. When I'm out here, you know, looking at the sights and taking it in, I look at this crazy monster, I get attacked from behind. So a lot of things you want to do is you want to kind of learn how to kite, or learn how to like bait creatures out. Oops. Bait them out to come fight you in a safe area, and that's kind of the point. That's a lot of the way the game works. You know, you don't want to engage things you don't have to, unless you really need to, or unless you just want to. And it doesn't hold your hand at all, which in this day and age is very rare for games. But I think that's part of why the Souls games became so popular. Is because they don't hold your hand. It is difficult. It's funny because it's difficult and it isn't difficult all at the same time. You learn how to handle encounters, you learn how to fight multiple enemies, you learn the strategies to defeat enemies, and the game really is not that bad. It's all about learning, it's all about practicing and improving. Learning how to dodge effectively is one of the best things you can do to improve at this game. Learning how to fight enemies. See, like, there's a guy up there and he'll drop down. See, this dude, it's like they're there and they really aren't just coming out of nowhere, but they can take you by surprise if you're not prepared, but when you learn where the enemies are, it makes the game a lot easier. You can take them out and have a strategy for defeating them. But yeah, you'll notice, like, just because I've done this so many times, it's pretty easy, you know, just taking care of business. Equipping this game, stuff in this game can be weird. So here's your, like, your belt slots, and that's where you equip items. So we want to equip this Estus Flask. It's basically just a potion that heals you. It's a healing potion. Human effigy. I explained a little bit. When you die, you turn into, like, the Hollow. You become, like, an undead zombie. When you're an undead zombie, you can't summon people to help you. And when you die, you start losing your maximum HP, like it starts to go down. And so if you use the human effigy, you'll turn back human, you'll have your full amount of HP, and then you can summon people to help you through areas. So you get a bunch of them, so it's not a huge waste. So you notice here's a field, there's a bunch of guys laying on the ground, as you would expect. You get close, they wake up. We can kill him. Doesn't really matter. Crit hit. So there's a dude up there, and he'll throw fire bombs at me. I just kind of, you know, learned that from doing this a bunch. So we'll bait some of these dudes back here. Oh, he actually got me. Oh, how is he not dead? So there's a targeting lock-on in this game, but it doesn't work on enemies who aren't, like, activated. How? I'm very surprised. So I don't know if it's his shield or what, but he's got more HP than the others. That's fine. Broken straight sword, we'll never use it, so we'll target him. Kill him when he gets close. So enter the mist. Certain areas are misted off. They're not really like, I mean, they're kind of like checkpoints, but they aren't really. It's not like you start there. If you die, you go back to the last bonfire you were at. See, that's kind of like, they'll put a dude just around the corner just to kind of, you know, maybe catch you off guard, so for some free damage. And those are the kind of things that once you learn from the game, it gets a lot easier. But those are the things that you have to be super cautious when you're playing, like, to learn them. And learning the attack animations helps a lot too. And the timing. I mean, that's really a lot of the game. It's just timing and strategy and knowledge about where the ambushes are. So I know there's a guy on the right, but you know, normally what would happen, you're focusing, there's an item up there to loot, you're looking at these boxes, and you kind of walk forward, but you don't think about it, and you get ambushed. So these guys are dead. Take some loot. So there's all sorts of areas to explore, and you don't really know where to go. You just kind of gotta figure it out. Figure out how to get to the next place. You can wander into high-level areas accidentally. CS message says beware of sniper, because there's a dude right in front of us who's going to shoot arrows at us. But if you also notice, there's a guy right there. So see how that's kind of cheap? If you weren't paying attention, you'd walk right under him and get ambushed from behind. But you can't bait this guy down here to fight you, so you kind of have to engage him unless you have like bows or magic or something. So he's throwing firebombs. There's an archer over here who will shoot at you. You can't reach unless you have ranged. So I mean, we could fight this guy, we could ignore him. We got a buckler. And it's funny, the projectiles move really slow in this game. I'm not sure why, but I'm kind of glad for it. To be honest, if they were fast, I mean, there's some areas where it'd just be really tough.